What is good? We're a little bit more calmer now, so everything's all good on that sense. Big day today, ladies and gents. You may or may not have known about this event that happens in the stock market. It's called the triple witching event, where you've got the indices, stock markets, and ETF options expiry. Now, historically, it is a wild time for expirations. Volatility is thrice. But looking at some charts, it doesn't even look like the markets are even bothered about it. But it's an important event for cryptocurrency and everyone else involved in the game of investing. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to today's live stream. Yep, huge day. I see you in the chat, ladies and gents. So, what we're going to talk about today? Well, we're going to break down what to expect next. All right, the euphoria over the Federal Reserve cutting its interest rates with the promise of cutting even more in the future is something that investors are like, okay, we've had that hype now. What's the next best thing? The election. Now, last night we had a very interesting result. Bank of Japan have decided that they're not going to be increasing the interest rates per se. As long as their economy still sustains itself, then they won't have to worry about doing so. And that is a wild thing, given that for the past however long, since the 5th of August, the stance for Bank of Japan was, we're going to increase the interest rates. Now, all of a sudden, they're not. Which kind of makes sense. Are you going to want the markets to crash before an election? Or are you going to wait until see who's in power and then they have to clean it all up afterwards? Like we said before, stock market tends to rally after a Fed pivot for a short period of time. People then come to the idea that, okay, it's not interested in the Fed pivot anymore. But you've got a change in monetary policy at all-time highs. It doesn't make sense. And the market still keeps on climbing. As we said last night, we're going into the idea of good news is good news and bad news is bad news. So any data that comes out next week regarding the manufacturing sector that shows that if the Fed has achieved the idea of a soft landing, that means the data from the manufacturing sector of the US should come in good. If we see that the data is good, that means the economy is doing all right, given we've got relatively high interest rates. That would then justify December's meeting for another 50 basis point cut. That'll make everyone pretty happy. But according to Bank of Japan, they aren't going to cut the rates. They're not going to increase the interest rates just yet, but it's subject to how the economy behaves. You know what's coming with that. So, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Got some comments here. Massive crash before the election. Then when Trump is elected, we are going to skyrocket to the moon. How many of you believe? And did you watch the actual interview with Kamala in the media per se? That was a very awkward walk-off. I don't know, man. It's very interesting. So, time now. 2:05 East UK time. 4:05 Cyprus time. 9:05 Eastern Standard. Let's have a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get with the program. Here we go. Right. Euphoria is over. So what does that mean? Well, it pretty much means that the stock market has to now focus on the next thing. Now, as I said, good news is good news and bad news is bad news. Any data that comes out which could impact the Fed's decision to cut a little bit more will only come out if it does show that the economy is struggling. Now, remember, check this out. This is the chart of the week, the Employment Diffusion Index. It dips below 50 in the US. Okay? Now, this chart shows that the average non-farm payroll growth has slowed to 116,000 within the manufacturing sector, starting to show signs of weakness as well. Now, the manufacturing sector has been contracting for the last 5 months. Now, going into next week, we do have quite a bit of manufacturing data coming out, okay? Now, with that being said, no, I'm not in prison, man. Where are you getting these lyrics from? I'm not in prison. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, what we've got to be looking out for is, and I've said this before, just monitor the way the Japanese yen is behaving. And you can see over here now, Japanese yen futures have been taking a little bit of a nosedive to the downside, which naturally gives you the idea that the dollar dominance is going up and down, but it's not. It's kind of somewhat sideways. You've got the euro in principle trading in very interesting ranges right now. So it's going to be a very interesting day, ladies and gents. We're just going over to the NASDAQ. I took a trade on NASDAQ this morning because I could see some actual flavor coming into NASDAQ. And it was this little bit right here. So I'll just quickly show you. NASDAQ made this move to the upside, all right? Now, I got out of the position because what I saw was, in principle, I saw this little structure right here. Now, I haven't got my depth of market with me or anything like that. All I was doing was trading off the idea of structure, but looking left and seeing a red vector candle in this zone and this range, and I was looking for price to go up to this point, but I didn't quite close off at that point. I took advantage of the green vector candles inside of this range, and I got out, and we managed to get in for, it was only a $749 gain, but it wasn't that much of a long trade, to be frank with you. Yeah, it was wait, let me just get this. So this week we did all right on the account. We did okay. Now NASDAQ's taking a slump. Here we go. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I think the options expiry is coming into play. That could be happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get into that. But well, let me just quickly show you for today. The trade today that we took. It was, yeah, 20 minutes, man. 2 trades, 2 contracts, 26 minutes, $700, $749. And that was on this principle right here on this move to the upside. This is a real account, not a funded account. Where is it? Yeah, this is a personal account right here at the top there. Real account, not funded. So that's just me. I started off with 5K in that account. We're doing all right so far, so good. Okay. Now, looking at these markets, right, we're starting to get some activity, and this sharp move down with NASDAQ, they did the stop run to the upside, and now they've come back down again. It is Friday, so you've got to be very careful with the activity. Let me just quickly have a look at price for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has just sharply moved down. This could be the triple witching event that we're talking about right here, ladies and gentlemen. Where is it? Oh, where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are you? Here we are. Triple witching event. So it's going to be very interesting. It's still subdued according to Barron's at the time, but you can see now Bitcoin's starting to make a little bit of a flavoursome move to the downside. We managed to exploit Bitcoin's movement last night with the Platinum membership. So the guys last night, we were looking for Bitcoin to make a move to the upside, and you can see that they were basing out. And this is what's important about the hybrid system when we talk about the block trades. The block trades are in a point in the chart where previously, the people that were looking to mark prices higher and start selling came in at that point. So we were looking at the green vector candle block inside of this range over here. And the idea was that if price could consolidate sideways, then we're going to see Bitcoin try and climb up to the upside. And we saw that come into play last night really well with the Asian session move to the upside. And you can see here, the block on the 5-minute time frame. I'm telling you, this story with the blocks, it works, ladies and gentlemen. And there's that green vector candle that we marked off over here. Don't worry about Bitcoin just yet. There's your green vector candle. They stayed within the range, and the criteria was simple. As long as they stay within this range right here, then you're looking for price to make a move to the upside. And the guys, in principle, would have exploited that very, very nicely. Okay. Now, with that being said, just quickly go back into Bitcoin. You can see right now it's starting to roll over the 63,000 region as well, going into the order flow itself. You can see we've got some bids coming into play. All right. The only thing that could be doing this, guys, is the triple witching event, the expiry of the options, which is pretty typical given that Japan have said, no, don't worry, we're not going to increase the interest rate just yet. All right. We'll let you get your money out. And when you look at it, you can see, I mean, bruv, it's starting to make some movement right now. And I'm getting very, very frustrated that I'm not able to exploit it just yet. But you've got a little bit of activity right here. $5.1 trillion is going to get exploited right now. Big amounts of money. But according to the article here, you've got the volatility index, which could be a leading indicator that things aren't really as volatile as they're making them out to be. Okay, see, it's still down at the 17 zone, and we said that as long as this keeps on going down, the idea is that the marketplace is going to go up. Okay, but if this starts to continue to go back up and get above the 20 zone, then you're going to have to be very careful, because it means that assets are going to start coming back down. So just be very mindful. If you're in longs on Bitcoin right now, just make sure you're taking something off the table, because Bitcoin is making a very interesting move lower, and it's broken in towards the daily open. And if it continues with this narrative, even if it does come back down, it's still all good. You know, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, but until something drastic happens with Bitcoin, okay, then we don't need to be worrying too much about it. All right. But you can see that Bitcoin hasn't really cleared out this 65 zone, and that's a bit of a problem for me. And if Bitcoin can't clear the 65, then it's not looking good. Now, according to sources, it says FTX is set to release 16 billion to creditors. Will it spark a crypto surge? And it's on the idea that it's preparing to distribute $16 billion to its creditors in just 2 weeks, a major event expected to take place in the Q4 of 2024. Now, the large sum of liquidity could flow back into cryptocurrency market, potentially fueling a bullish trend. So this is something that could get people to go involved in it. But let's just look at it like this. If the stock market and everything's going to be coming down before, because if Bank of Japan haven't increased their interest rate, that fundamentally means that assets in principle should be appreciating to the upside. Why? Because Bank of Japan aren't going to be compromising the yen trade. There's $4 trillion worth of liquidity stuck in the carry principle. Okay, so if they're keeping it steady, which is pretty interesting, because according to my guy Jim the Patriot, and you've got Just Dario, says here the Bank of Japan didn't misbehave this time and spoiled the carefully crafted plans to pump stocks into the US elections. Right, let's just look at it like this. Okay, oh, Bitcoin, what are you up to, BTC? You're making a very interesting move. Very interesting. Is anyone in shorts right now? Is anyone taking shorts on this move to the downside? No, I'm Greek. Free Tino. Listen, stop, Viola. Listen, stop with this free Tino business. I'm not doing any. I'm not doing anything sinister. I wasn't caught. Yeah, those. All right, listen, man. It's just for anybody new passing through. Okay, I got stopped by border control yesterday. That was it. Nothing sinister. Nothing to be worried about. Well, from my end. From their end, different story. Thing is, I was wearing like grey t-shirt, grey tracksuits. So did I look like an inmate or something? Like, did I look like I escaped from somewhere? I don't know. But they hounded me, man. It wasn't a nice experience. Okay, listen. Bitcoin is starting to make a very significant move to the downside. It looks kind of interesting. Hedging from 64. Right, listen, let me explain something to you all as well, just because there's opportunity that can happen right now. With Bitcoin moving down so fast, okay, depending on where you trade, because I've got here the NASDAQ, okay? So I'll quickly go over to the NASDAQ, and you can see that NASDAQ is trying its hardest to hold on to these gains. Now, if this triple witching event is coming into play, then there is a possibility that NASDAQ could actually start attacking these lows. But it is Friday today, so just remember that. The legacy markets will be closing very soon. Now, if NASDAQ does go down and you guys are in longs on Bitcoin, but you're in a relatively decent sized longs where, say, for example, you went long on 51K, right? You're still all good with your position. On BTCC, you do have the opportunity to trade the NASDAQ and S&P and Coinbase and Nvidia at the same time whilst trading crypto, okay? All you need to do is just go into settings where it says tokenized stocks, and you'll see that the NASDAQ is Tech 100 and the S&P is SPX 500, okay? Everything you need is in the description of this video or live stream. So if you're from the United States, you don't want KYC, go check out BTC, but they give you that opportunity to effectively trade both cryptocurrency and the NASDAQ and the S&P at the same time, where hedging can actually come into play, all right? So if you can see that NASDAQ is looking like it's going down, but you're in a long on Bitcoin, you can hedge on that platform, okay? So just take advantage of that if you do see that coming into play. But if Bitcoin does move down pretty aggressively, because it is only down 0.5%, it's still holding at the daily open itself. So nothing sinister has happened just yet. But before the market opens, it's 2:15 right now, 9:15 in the morning. The futures markets have yet to open. So this is when the expiry does actually happen. All right, so you've got ETF expiry, you've got stock expiry, and you've of course got the index expiries as well. So just make sure that you're taking some profits off the table, because this event can get a little bit tricky. It's a once in a lifetime event, not one lifetime, but you get what I mean. And here, look, this is what's got me concerned about it. It might be short-term lived volatility, because the volatility right now over the last month, it's not really looking good in US stocks. They're actually pulling back, so nothing's really happening, and the only thing that's really brought the volatility was just the Federal Reserve. Okay, other than that, guys, we don't really have anything to get really concerned about. And again, someone said something that Bitcoin, the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with Bitcoin. So why does Bitcoin have anything to do with this? Bank of Japan, Bitcoin supported by elevated risk-on sentiment as yen weakens against the dollar. Okay? Why should the Japanese yen have any impact on Bitcoin? And I always will challenge that when people say Bitcoin has got nothing to do with the monetary policy or it has nothing to do with data coming out from the US. Explain why it dropped on the 5th of August. Why did Bitcoin drop on the 5th of August? What, the carry trade principle? So if you look at it, no one was invested in, realistically, the cryptocurrency. Okay? No one was invested in crypto, hypothetically. The carry trade is about using yen and converting it over to dollars. Okay? And then putting those dollars to work. So why did Bitcoin drop that day? Which grants the question, why isn't Bitcoin already at 100K? And this is what I think people are in denial of. They're not liking the fact that Bitcoin, in principle, should be to its own. That's not the case. I'm sorry. And I said it, when Wall Street comes in, now you're going to be feeling the pain and glory of Wall Street. When Wall Street marks up their liquidity, so will cryptocurrency. That's the truth. And some of you might not like it. You know? Some of you might not like that. And at the end of the day, no one knows exactly what's going to happen. No one knows. But again, that's how you know we're moving. You know, one day, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you this now, okay? One day, Bitcoin will get into the title of legacy markets. It really will. What's a legacy market? NASDAQ, S&P, the bonds market, commodities like gold and silver, right? Forex markets, euro, dollar, pound, Swiss, okay, francs. It will get into that category soon enough, because if enough people trade it and it gets the recognition that it deserves, then Bitcoin will be part of the legacy markets. Okay? When you look at the Bitcoin futures, there's not that much liquidity there. CME futures, that is, because no one's barely trading it. The only liquidity you see happening is on the ETF, where inflows have come in again. But then we saw the inflows and then Bitcoin makes the move up and now it's retaining itself and now it looks like it's trying to drop back down again. Now, looking at this from the perspective of where we're going into the next event is the election. So if you're looking at Bitcoin and saying to yourself, right, where would now be a good time to buy Bitcoin? Well, look, let me just put it to you like this. From a holder's perspective, Bitcoin hasn't stopped going up for 3 days. Each day that it's gone up, out of the 3 days that it's moved up, only one of them has finished with conviction, okay? And you can see this green vector candle region right here didn't really finish with conviction. This candlestick right here finished with conviction. This one really didn't finish with conviction. So this stop run that's happened in the morning tells me that they've initiated a reverse move to the upside and they've sharply reversed from it. So that could give us an idea that Bitcoin could be getting ready to take a bit of a discount. Welcome the discount. Go into the chart and look at where the bids are. As it stands, this is the 1 hour time frame. We have got a handsome amount of 4 million that's just been transacted in this range over here. But they've come back into the range. They've come back into the range again. And there is now, I just saw it. It said 15 million. There you go. 11 million at 62,161. Okay. Now, below that, you've got another pool of liquidity at 9.8 million, which is at 61,550. Now, for a holder, by the principle of the 2020 method, okay, 2020, 2040, right? Your range as a holder is this, because people have been saying that Bitcoin is going to be stuck in a range. Let's assume that it is going to be stuck in a range, okay? This was the last time Bitcoin at 57,487 was the last time that Bitcoin started to correct and then made a reversal from it. Okay, this is the only vector candle region that is left over in Bitcoin. If they do bring Bitcoin down to the psychological area of 60K again, then we would assume that they're going to start moving up again to try and take out the next high of 65, for example. What I'm trying to say to you all is this: given that the way Bitcoin has been behaving, if you are involved in just accumulating Bitcoin for profit, that means short-term profit. If you're interested in buying up Bitcoin now on the drop, for example, and then in a few days' time, it's going to look to try and climb up and you achieve 2, 3, 4% on your balance and you take that balance and you make profit, congratulations. If you have got the mentality of a spot trader to do that, for every time Bitcoin makes an aggressive move to the upside within this range, take the profit and then get ready for the next movement, okay? But if you are collecting Bitcoin and you want to try and get the best possible fill, you have to wait till Bitcoin really drops. You shouldn't be buying Bitcoin at these price points. In other words, after it's been rising for a few days. You're not interested in that in principle. okay? Because you could be buying at a time when it gets ready to correct after the move to the upside, okay? So wait until Bitcoin does make a significant correction. Now, that significant correction could mean that Bitcoin does actually drop down, say, for example, down to 58. That will be a good spot for you to start loading up because it's been doing well to bounce away from the 50 zone, 48 zone, then you've got the 52 zone down here, and then you've got this 57 zone as well, okay? So if you're just playing that game with Bitcoin, then play it, but don't hold on to a trade and be like, oh my God, it's going to take it to the moon, Bitcoin to the moon, LFG. Oh man, come on, you're putting your own money here, ladies and gentlemen, okay? That mindset should be for the hedge fund managers because either way, they're going to be making money whether the position loses or wins. They still make money on the transaction of the purchase and handling fees, management fees, and what have you. We have to sit and wait and give exposure, put our own money into the charts. And when we realize a return, we then come to the idea that, oh my God, it's all about Bitcoin going LFG. Let's go, let's go. And we then try and find self-fulfilling prophecies as to why we should hold on to the chart, hold on to Bitcoin. Listen, you make money in this game, get it and get out. And I don't mean get out as in don't do it again, but keep playing the game. Because it is a game. You know? Do that. Any questions? Any questions? Because the market opens in 5 minutes. Tina when Lamb. Took profit, half filled my order. Bitcoin cannot be confiscated without cooperation from the holder. I get all of that. I get all of that. I'm here to get the dimes and quarters on Bitcoin. Just keeping an eye on the NASDAQ right now. It's not really doing too much. Just quickly having a look over here. If you get your charts up, guys, have a look. I mean, gold is still claiming that all-time high again. That is not good for me. And then NASDAQ's pulling back down ever so slightly on the daily. It's pulling back ever so slightly. It's going to be a tricky event. NASDAQ is pulling down. Got to be very careful with NASDAQ. Tino, when 8K. Christian, it's a little bit further away right now. I mean, let's get down to 30K and then we can have a conversation. That might help. You know. The Fibonacci game has started. What do you think of Jasmy Coin? I mean, look, no, I didn't cross the Mexican border. Well, listen, we've had some good news regarding Solana because a hedge fund manager is actually getting involved in creating a fund on the Solana blockchain. That's going to be great news for Solana. I mean, if we go over to Solana's price action right now, you can see that, well, it clearly doesn't like the actual price action. It's taking a bit of a tumble. But you know what? Let's just put things into perspective for a second. Hold on. You got stock market all-time high. You got gold at all-time high. Bitcoin is trying to attempt its all-time high, but let's just say like the 65K was the all-time high for Bitcoin because it just doesn't want to go anywhere. Okay. But everything has been moving up prior to the Federal Reserve cutting the interest rates. Now that the Federal Reserve has cut the interest rates, the logic of the interest rates being cut again in the future is something that could happen in December. We're now waiting for manufacturing data and unemployment claims. Okay, cool. Let's say we get good news on that. That means the Fed is more inclined to cut interest rates in December. Fine. But we've got an election coming up. That's the only next big event for the marketplace. So what do you think naturally has to happen? Everything has to depreciate. We want it to depreciate. We want it to come down because if it's going to come back down, then it means that they're buying because when prices drop, they're buying. And they're buying from the people that are selling. And those people that are selling are the weak hands. Okay? Let me show you exactly what I mean by that. Look at Solana. It's coming back down. Cool. Now go look at Bitcoin. The orders are there. I can't make it any more clearer. You've got people that are wanting to buy here. $500,000 worth of Bitcoin there at 62,700. Go down. Where's another pool of liquidity? You got cheap. Here we go. 8.6 million right there at 60,666. Going into this chart right here, 9 million at 61,500. Again, when you look at this chart, you zoom out. Okay. When you zoom out, you can see that we've had a wave of selling, drop, selling, drop, selling. But this is starting to slow down. That means the sellers might not be as committed to sell anymore. Okay. So in other words, you've got buyers trapped. If you look at the liquidations, you've got all these guys right here, long liquidations, having a bit of a hard time if Bitcoin does continue to follow suit and make the drop to the downside. It's Friday, yeah. So what I'm saying is, given that the market ain't even open yet, 3 minutes, and it's already starting this flavor right here, ladies and gentlemen, just be very careful if you are in exposure. But then again, depending on how you look at it, okay? If this is an opportunity for you to start dollar cost averaging on Bitcoin for a short-term move, on the assumption that the rally here that you've got with Bitcoin is going to sustain itself for a short period of time. That means if it pulls back, then continues up, you're buying on this pullback, you're selling as it goes up. Now, when we look at the chart here, we don't really have that many vector candles to go back into other than the obvious vector down here, which is visible right here, which is down at that point at 59. Not really, it's not even a point that I'd really be concerned about really, because it's already recovered that vector candle region. So that's where you have to go to another time frame and say to yourself, well, where is the next vector candle that I could take advantage of? Well, I don't really see it on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, then if I don't see it there, where's the 8-hour time frame? Is there anything down there? Can I find anything? Yes, I can. So this is the area here that you want to be paying attention to. This could be a big area of accumulation for Bitcoin if they are in the narrative of rising. So they'll drop it down to buy and then they will offer out again. Remember, the concentration of buyers and sellers is always going to change. Zoom out on this chart right here. Here we go. Got a nice little cluster down here. What's this? Hold on. What price point is this? 47,000. You got $38 million worth of BTC to be picked up. All right. They are going to protect Bitcoin's price when it gets cheaper. The idea is, are you going to be profiting from it when it does move up in your favor, or are you going to be closing off losing positions as it's going down? Because you want to be buying as it goes down and you want to be selling as it goes up. Okay. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Bro, you owe us a backflip. How did I agree to a backflip in the first place? Where did I say I would do a backflip? Clearly not. Backflip. What's he talking about? Anything new from the market maker Steve? Oh, market maker Steve has been doing everything. He has been doing everything. It's quad witching, not triple. 4. Quad witching. Is it? 4. No, it's triple witching day. Listen, I ain't challenging barons. Here we go. It's a once in a quarter phenomena when stock options, stock index futures, and stock index options all expire on the same day. So it's not a quad witching event. No, I don't have the bookcase. Tino, I'm trapped in a short from gold on 2584. Do you think it could go down or still up? It doesn't make any sense to me. You don't want to be short in gold. You got to pick your spots when you're short in gold, ladies and gentlemen, because with the tensions that are happening overseas, if we just go and have a look at, I mean, you're doing all right now because it is coming down, and it is coming down pretty aggressively at that. We just quickly go have a look at the euro in one sense. Here we get euros going down. Bitcoin is going to get compromised very shortly. The NASDAQ is in principle. Let's quickly go over to NASDAQ. NASDAQ is coming straight back up again, but just be very careful with NASDAQ. It's been very, very choppy. It's moving pretty fast as well. Vector candle recovery. And the mean business, they're going to do the move up to then try and bring it back down again. When are you going to box with Eric Crown? Am I meant to box with him? Yeah, baby. If I'm meant to box, let me know. Tino, you staying clear of the miners? No. Why don't you allow payments for the cryptocurrency to join your group? It's been a bit of a pain in the backside with it because you end up paying more when you don't need to be, you know? So with the platinum membership, it's $99. And, you know, it's with cryptocurrency, you end up paying more and there's no point in that, you know? But this weekend, I've got quite a few things set up for the guys because the last couple of weeks I've been doing these checklists. So the first checklist that I've just recently done is the learning the hybrid system, okay? And it gives you 6 pages on the best way for you to learn the hybrid, okay? And I go into detail, and it's got masterclass sessions incorporated with it. So these are the list of the masterclass sessions that I've suggested, in my opinion, what works to aid you in your trading with the hybrid system. So you want to check that out. It's going to help you massively with your trading. And the NASDAQ, yes. So it'll help you out with your trading. So go check that out. It's in the description. It's pinned to the top of the chat if you're interested in going forward with the platinum trade setups and all the context that comes with the hybrid system on that. Look at NASDAQ, man. Unbelievable. This is how you know it's a fishy move. Bitcoin is going down. Euro is going down. You've got gold going down. Yeah, you've got the NASDAQ trying to pump. Okay? That tells me that it's something fishy is going on. So NASDAQ's going to do your nice stop run. And then when it comes to it, they're going to start correcting price. So just be very careful. Go over to the bonds market. That's going down. The yields are going up. That means cash is king. Dollar's trying to move up again, which means the yen is going down. Thank you very much, yen. But like I said to you before, guys, be mindful because they need to make it cheaper for you to get so they can buy it again. The guys are, look, they're buying it up. Look, they're buying. And those long liquidations are going to get tapped. But it could get tapped for a short period of time because they could snap reverse. So just be very mindful of that. Come on. Look at that. Their bids are coming in, guys. Bids are coming in. Just be very careful because they can do snap reversals. This is consistent with V-shaped reversals as well. The Brinks box has come into play as well. And what time are we on? Just shortly after the New York session itself. So it's doing relatively well. Tina, aren't you scared for escalating war, as in people selling assets? No, I'm not on holiday, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not scared of war. It's, you know, the old saying holds true, you know. If you want to know the news, you look at the chart. But you've got to be able to understand what's going on in the chart. Don't look at it from the perspective, oh, candlestick is up and the candlestick is down. No. You have to understand what money is doing. Why do we pay attention to the yen? Because it tells us if $4 trillion is going to be offloaded or not. What do you think they're doing right now? The yen's going down. So what are they putting to work? They're putting dollars to work. So now what they're doing is they're preparing. They're getting rid of the yen. They're taking advantage of yen by borrowing it. Okay? Because they now said we're keeping the interest rates the same. Wonderful. I get my yen. I go and borrow that and then convert it over into, oh my God, convert it over into USD, right? Then with my dollars, I'm going to sit around and wait for the marketplace to just calm down after the latest bout of data, which is the FOMC. Now we've got this triple witching event, which means there's going to be some more volatility coming into the charts, so I might wait. Naturally, that's going to then give investors who are doing this carry trade principle an opportunity to get a much stronger dollar. That's why dollar is going up, the yen is going down, right? Then when we go into next week, that's when the markets will then say, okay, let's put things together now. Let's start putting our money into appreciating assets. We've got our dollars. If I just go over into the chart and show you, how many dollars, the question is, how many dollars can I buy right now with my euros? Because my euros are looking lovely. Look at where it is. Bigger picture now. Look at how high euro is. I can get more euros off the back of a strong, more dollars on the back of a strong euro. So I'm preparing myself. So I'm going to get ready for next week. Because if the stock market is going to increase in value up until the elections themselves, that means it's not going to keep on moving up. They're going to need to correct it. And when they correct it, they can buy loads of it at a discount if they're going to be assuming that the rally is going to continue to the upside. Okay? So that's in principle what is going on in the charts right now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So just take that into consideration when you are trading. All right? You've got to just think about it from the perspective of how money is going to be perceived. The perceived value of the journey of money, okay? Which is going to help you work out if you should be buying Bitcoin or not. Because Bitcoin now is going down, but the NASDAQ and the S&P are moving up in principle. And they're moving pretty aggressively at that. So we know something's brewing. The yen's going down, the dollar's going up. All right? So they could be going into the stock market. But this triple witching event could actually bring a little bit more volatility than we're asking for. So just wait until 3 p.m. That's what all I'm saying to you. The VIX is dropping though, yeah. Yes, for options, in terms of expiry for options, it just means that there's a lot of people's money that is going to be exposed to certain strike prices, which means that when you open a position in an option, you buy it for a call, you favor higher prices. Puts, you favor lower prices. Now, it all depends on how many of those positions, whether they're calls or puts, how many of them are in the money, how many of them are not in the money, okay? And that is what we're going to be seeing very shortly. where the release of those positions is going to let us know that there was the max pain point could be, I don't know, whatever it is, because it's across 3 asset classes, right? So it's all going to be different. There are going to be people that have made money. There are going to be people that have lost money, but it's just going to be an influx of liquidity being released from the marketplace, which means that same liquidity is going to be put to work again. Okay. So you just got to, I mean, I traded this morning. Okay. And yeah, quick $700. I'm happy with that. Don't need to expose myself throughout the whole day, because this event is pretty crazy when it does come into action. I can't verify myself on Discord. Do you know I have critical karma? The island's all right. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Because I've got to get an update out to the Platinum members, because we've got some activity. Just want to quickly review everything. Bitcoin is now starting to take a bit of a tumble, ladies and gentlemen. Just wait there. Quickly go over to it. Tino, how many gaps can you fill with 500? Here's me looking for sincere questions, man. 6 hour chart, guys, is a bit of a problem for me, so just keep an eye out on that. Mr. I don't trade Fridays. Yeah, I do. Listen, I saw an opportunity, okay? Whoa. Wait. Okay, so there was a little bit of a delay on my computer. That's what that did there. Okay. I traded NASDAQ. That's what I traded this morning. It was only a quick trade. Where was it? Let's just get that. Today. Yeah, $749. 20-minute trade. And it was a vector candle recovery after they formed a W formation. That's all it was. This area here. 1 minute time frame. I saw the opportunity right here. And I'll explain something to you. When you trade the NASDAQ or the S&P, the principle of bids and offers works very well in that. Okay? It works very well. Because if they hit the bids for too long, the market's going to end up trapping sellers. And once they've achieved the trap, that means they can reverse and attack the liquidity, which is exactly what they did today. It's doing it now. Here we go. NASDAQ is moving. Listen, guys, trading NASDAQ today, be very careful. I'm being straight with you right now. Be very careful, because it is Friday. They might give you a little bit of movement and then not do anything else for the rest of the day. Just be very careful. Bitcoin's still consolidating lower. Where can I trade the legacy? BTCC allows you to do that. So if you go to BTCC, all right, it's in the description. Get a 10% deposit bonus, which is released on a Tuesday, okay? And you can trade NASDAQ, S&P, coin, as in Coinbase, Nvidia, Apple, gold, silver, all right, and cryptocurrency all at the same time, all right? It's under the tokenized stocks, and the ticker symbol for NASDAQ is Tech 100, okay? And the S&P 500 is SPX. You can then trade them alongside Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It's rolling. It's rolling, ladies and gentlemen. I just need to check something out. It is rolling pretty aggressively. 62,740. This witching thing is starting to come into play. Violet vector candle. Just need to put that and have a look at where we are with today's trade setups. I just want to make sure that those guys are playing the game. Let me have a look. So we have got gold coming down. Yeah, so far on one of our setups, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just show you Bitcoin's one. So far, our setup for Bitcoin today is coming into fruition. It is working its way lower. So what I would say, guys, is make sure you are monitoring, because I want to get it out to you as soon as I can. But just make sure you are monitoring current price point, because it has now effectively swept. It's going to sweep the Asian session low. All right, I'd be taking profits along the way, guys. So just make sure you're doing that. That's just an example from the Platinum membership, guys. I've done Euro, Gold, NASDAQ, Ethereum, and Solana. So this is where we've got to just be very careful. It's going to eat that liquidity at Asia. And the red vector candle's coming into play. Offers are coming into action right now. We've got big offers coming into play. Hold on a second. Longs are being liquidated. I just want to see if there's a liquidity pool right here. Nothing's coming in just yet. Can't see it because it's too small. Go to the 1 minute time frame just for a quick second to have a look. What have I got here? There's an imbalance zone right there. They're going to be bringing it lower in a few seconds. Hold on. 1.45 million down there. That's a close pool of liquidity. These are imbalances right here on the depth. So that means they're buying. So they're effectively buying up Bitcoin on the backs of people selling. So Bitcoin's going to sweep down for a split second now. Hold on. Wait for it. We've just hit a big pool of long liquidation. So they're going to go for another pool in a second. So I just need to make sure that it actually goes for it because that's at the Asian session low range. That's what I'm looking for. So you're going to see it do it in a second. Come on. Do it. Give me the sweep lower. Building up imbalance right there. No one's really stepping in on the offer side. It's not going to do it. You shoe bag. So it's gone back into that imbalance. It's going to eat that imbalance and then do it. There you go. So now it's shooting back down. Come on. That trigger right there, when you see that behaving, yeah, it's a vector candle. There you go. So a blue vector candle, and it's now going to go. It's going to go for the Asian session low. It has to go for that low because the green vector candle sits at that point right there. Okay. So this is what I'm doing now, guys, is I'm just giving you my breakdown of price action in real time. This is how I'm thinking about things because there's a pool of liquidity here where fundamentally there's a block. Okay, so if you look at this green vector candle block, the idea is if there's interest to then mark price from this point, all right, and show interest to buy from that range, the offers should be coming in at that point. If not, then there's going to be weakness. So we go across to the chart and we can see we've penetrated that range right now. So logic says that we need to wait and see if Bitcoin can exceed this range and go lower. Now, going into that logic, we just go over to the NASDAQ and the S&P. NASDAQ is trading very, very tricky. Just be careful. I'm telling you, man, it's very, very tricky. Very tricky. Bitcoin's down 0.3%. It's going to try and come back up into this red vector region. There's an activity there. And when you see the cluster of vectors as well, when you see that happening, they're going to come back into that point. And if they don't get the same support that they got from this attempt, because you can see here, it's come down, reversed, and then rolled over. Now they've come back down again, but you've got a blue vector zone right there. So it could be letting me know that something's going to change. But this is on the 1 minute time frame. Okay, when you go to the higher time frames, you can see that it's strong open on that bearish, on that negative candle. Okay, so the idea is that this candlestick could actually turn into a red vector candle very, very shortly if they do pick up steam at 25 seconds time. It's a new 5 minute candle. So just wait there. Let's see if they do actually turn into a red vector candle because the volume is coming in high. If they don't transact into a red vector candle, then it could lead prices to go down further. Oh, this is good. Come on. I really want to see that being done. Come on. Violet vector candle. So that in itself tells you that volume is starting to increase from the upside move. You can see they're starting to roll it over. Granted, you've got a big move to the upside. So this like the starting point of the move, which could suggest that Bitcoin could go lower. But because we've got this Brinks box, there could be a retrace. You have to factor that there could be a retrace before it does the move that you think it's going to do. Because you go into a trade on Bitcoin thinking it's going to do it. So then you're sat there waiting. But if you're not focusing on what it could do first before it gets to where you want it to go, then you're going to then trade emotionally and be looking at your balance rather than looking at the chart. And you say to yourself, is now a good time to run shorts from what appears to be the low of the Brinks? You then wait, because if this really means business, they will retrace first. Okay? So just take that into your mind when you're going into taking trades. Okay? What's your thoughts on the 54K gap? It's too far. It's too far right now. But you're talking about the Bitcoin futures gap. There's several. Look at that. Several gaps. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bloody hell, there's loads of gaps there. So there's clear imbalance. This is what I mean. This is what I mean about Bitcoin. It's very poorly traded on the CME. That's the problem that I've got with Bitcoin. What's the factor? What about the fact that today's Brinks is inside yesterday's Brinks? Weird, huh? It's not weird. Not at all. That happens all the time. You know, they do it sometimes. It's like the Asian session is above the next previous session. I mean, yeah, they do that all the time, you know. But what you got to look for is the Brinks boxes relative to each other. If you're in a trend, the UK Brinks will be lower than the US Brinks. Then the UK Brinks in the next session will be higher than the US Brinks. And use the low of the UK Brinks and the high of the US Brinks to establish the likeliness of them moving from one point to the next. In other words, if they break the UK Brinks low, then they could go and test the US Brinks high. Okay, so you just got to wait for them to actually make the move. But it's nothing to be worried about. How long do you think Tesla will go to? Where do I think Tesla's going to go to? I do believe Tesla's going to be taking a nice shoot to the downside. I've got a gap down here at 228. I'm looking for Tesla to go back down into that point because Tesla does that. They've closed off this gap that I've been waiting for them forever to close. Okay, so just look at it. There's the gap right there. I've been waiting for them for ages to close that gap. There's no real other gaps that I'm concerned about other than the main gaps that are in the chart over here. Going into, where is it? You've got this gap between these two, yeah, 231, the 228 region. And you've got a couple of gap zones down here. But you've got this big imbalance at 188. That's going to be a very interesting point. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? The backflip, I don't know what the backflip means. I don't know what it means. So, listen, there is activity happening. I've got to get an update out. But more importantly, I won't be going live this evening, ladies and gentlemen, but I will be tuning in with you all on Monday to see what madness has unfolded. If you are new to the channel, hit the like button and subscribe for more flavor. It's going to be an interesting week next week, all right? Pay yourselves on the way out, ladies and gentlemen, as well. Never give the market maker any of your profits, all right? Take care of yourselves, gang. Mad love and respect. Peace.